Okay, so just wanted to do a quick sort of owner-driver review of this car. Obviously there's quite a few reviews and on the internet, but I couldn't find any from a sort of owner driving. I bought this car in May last year. I had a hell of a deal because at that point the motor trade was very uncertain about what was going to happen with the whole COVID situation. So it was a really great deal, and they seemed to, this one particular Audi dealer seemed to have quite a number of them they were trying to get rid of, so that was all good for me. Obviously I couldn't choose a spec, but to be honest, they've got everything on them anyway. This is not what they call the Vorsprung version, but it's got everything you need. But in fact, as I'll explain, it's got, in fact, I think too much, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So I've now put over 20,000 miles on it. I do a lot of mileage, and one of the big attractions of this car was that it's diesel, and I love a big diesel and a big high performance diesel. I like the torque, and this thing's really being, it's surprising how little the emissions are on this. These later diesels, I think they're a bit unfairly criticised, to be honest, but anyway, they've now replaced this engine with a petrol version, which is more powerful, because obviously it's not as torquey, and that torque is not as low down, because torque's nothing if it's way up in the rev range. What you want with torque is you want it, I think peak torque on this is something like 1500 RPM. I might be wrong there, but I'm going to go through the bad bits first, and then we'll take it for a drive, and we'll have a look at it off-road as well, which should be quite interesting. Okay, so starting off with the bad bits of this car. Unfortunately, there are quite a lot of them, and this stuff isn't really unique to this model or even unique to Audi. The biggest problem I have is, we're looking at it right now, is this dashboard. It has to be the worst piece of automotive design ever, and the reason I say that is that they've gone out of their way to design this to be used as though you're using a smartphone, when we're trying to stop people using their phones in the car. This dashboard is complete. It's as though it was designed by someone who didn't have a driving license. It's that bad. It's worse than the dashboards they were making 25 years ago. You cannot adjust any of the heating controls without fully taking your concentration from the road. You actually get excited that you're actually going to be able to press a real button. There's no touch or feel. And then you press the wrong thing and something else. You can't change it unless you're doing this. And I'm convinced there are accidents occurring today because people are messing about with these screens. And some people, I've heard other reviewers saying, I must try and be less old-fashioned. It's nothing to do with being old-fashioned or not. It's just a crap design. It's as simple as that. This is another issue with this. It's as though someone tried to reinvent the wheel. And I had this problem. I had an earlier Q7 as well, which was a 2017 model. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a normal auto selector where you just do this, or maybe flip it over and plus minus. Why they've had to do this? And you get like, you got park here and then this here, and you have one like this, and you're constantly, and even after 20,000 miles, sometimes you're pressing park thinking that you're selecting, or you're pressing this button thinking that you're parking. The whole thing, it's just really rubbish. I don't understand why. It's as though they're bored. They've got people on payrolls there, they can't get rid of them, so they give them something to do. I know, redesign the auto selector. Okay, here's another problem I'll highlight with this car. It really annoys me, this. Okay, so this key, for this model year, for some reason they decided to make the buttons really proud on the surface. So you just have it in your pocket and it takes virtually no pressure at all to trigger one of the buttons and open the car. And even the tailgate, which of course is power operated, I've been in my office, looked out the window, because the car's parked just down, it's not very far away physically, it's within range, and I've looked out the window to see the tailgates open, because I've pushed it twice in quick succession somehow, inadvertently, and opened the tailgate. And again, there was nothing wrong with the previous keys, where the buttons are kind of sunk down a touch, and harder to press. You know, I can't understand why they need to change stuff for the sake of it. It's really annoying. Plus the fact, of course, this is keyless, so you can't put it in. So it gets lost inside the car. You can leave it inside the car accidentally. And, you know, if you go into a shop or something, again, I think they should go in, because at least they're stowed somewhere for the duration of the journey, and then they can't be stowed anywhere else. You've got to use it to start the car. And in fact, I'm going to ask them if I can get a different key. I know what they'll say, but I'm just going to ask them anyway. Okay, so we'll get on to some of the some of the slightly more positive aspects now. Well, firstly, I don't mind the styling of this car. I think it looks quite nice. I quite like this colour. This leather which they've installed, I don't know what they call this, but it is noticeably higher grade than what you get in some of the cheaper cars. I mean, it's got a lovely sort of, you know, it does have a very nice sort of waxy feel to it. I think it's really nice. And these seats are, yeah, they're very supportive, very, very comfortable. The only criticism I would level is the headrests, and again, I quite like an all-in-one seat. You know, I don't mind a integrated headrest. The problem is, and this was also the problem on the previous Q7 I had, which is a 2017 model, which had a separate headrest, is the headrest too far forward. It kind of pushes your head a bit forward, and it's quite annoying. You do kind of get used to that. It's just a shame you can't tilt them back a bit. But they are nice. They're nicely better, and these sides, you can adjust how much they grip you. Not sure about that, you know, when it goes wrong or one of the motors burns out or something. I'm going to try and keep it under warranty if I keep this car. Rear is really nice. You got 3 proper seats, and this is the same in any Q7, I think. And the great thing is that, you know, these seats are adjustable back, each individually adjustable back and forth, and the back of them is adjustable as well. You can, you know, you can adjust the back, which is quite nice. If someone wants to be a little bit more reclined, there's loads of space in here. In the boot, a bit of old carpet. One of the slightly annoying things again is there's no spare in this car, which I find really annoying actually. Really, really annoying. You know, I think it should have a full-size spare. They should package it better. I know they probably say can't fit it in because of everything else that's in there, but there's loads of space, and it's got the 7 seats, and that is the reason I actually bought this car. If I didn't need the 7 seats, I do need 7 seats occasionally. If I didn't need the 7 seats, I would have bought an A6 Estate, but I do need the 7 seats. So, you know, that's where I'm at on that. Okay, and under the bonnet you've got the 4-litre V8 Tdi, which has this electrically driven compressor or supercharger. I think they're the same thing. I've heard some people call them a compressor, but I'm pretty certain a compressor is a different, but you can tell me in the comments whether I'm right or wrong there. Obviously the supercharger or compressor is driven electrically, so it spins up. The idea is that it spins up quickly and fills in the gap where you get a bit of turbo lag, and I think the result is pretty good. You know, there's a momentary delay. It's momentary, frankly. It's pretty minimal in my view, but it's the usual sort of VW Audi thing, and it is well made, this car. I like the way you can clearly see that they've wax oiled this, and you can see it's set in that little indent there. Yeah, it does look well screwed together. The underside of the car is nice as well. The underside of the car, a lot of it is covered in. So, you know, I've already serviced this car quite a few times, more than it's asked for. I've given it a number of oil changes because I might end up keeping it, and because I don't think I'll be able to buy another one. I think this diesel engine is gone, and I don't think it's going to return. So, it might be. I might end up keeping it for a while. I don't know. So just in case I do, I've really, you know, planned for that. I'm very careful on the engine until the oil's up to temperature, all that kind of thing. Just try and keep it in the best possible condition. Yeah, we'll just take this out now and just take it down the road. I've got to go down to the shop and just use that as an opportunity to try it out on the road. So you'd probably be wondering, with all my complaints, why the hell I want to keep this car. It's basically just a really useful tool if you're doing a lot of mileage, and you can just really handy. I mean, it handles well, you can just make superb progress, and I have to drive up and down the A9, which is a major road through the Scottish Highlands, and get a lot of HGVs, heavy goods vehicles on that road, and it can be very difficult to get past them unless you've got some proper power. And at the same time, I have achieved close to 40 miles per gallon out of this car. That's 40 miles per UK English gallon for anybody in the USA. And English gallons are a bit bigger, so there is a conversion you can do. It's not quite, it doesn't sound quite as good in US gallons, but nevertheless, for what it is, for a 430 horsepower vehicle that weighs 2.2 tons or something, it's an incredible economy. So it is a very, very useful tool. Obviously it's got the 7 seats as well. It's got the ride is really nice. This air suspension, mate, it is good. It does a lovely ride, and of course it's adjustable. At the moment I've got it in a comfort setting, and frankly I keep it in that most of the time. You can screw it down and make it rock hard, but not really necessary. The other thing is the engine kind of revs in this vehicle, which is unusual for it. It's a diesel that revs, although it is redlined at 5,000 RPM. It's a strange thing. It's because I always try and drive diesels on the lower revs, the lower end of the rev range, but it does seem to, it's a bit like a petrol. At the moment, if you can hear the engine coming across on the video, I have got it on the louder exhaust setting. Now this doesn't come through the loudspeakers or anything rubbish like that. It's got some flaps in the exhaust, I think, and it opens them up. But it is just, I can just about forgive all the problems, because it is just such a useful tool for someone doing a lot of mileage. Which I do. So, and of course it's safe and all the rest of it, but you can it's just really, really handy. Okay, so this is a typical local road around here. Now I'm filming this in the northern Scottish Highlands, in case anybody's wondering. We're quite far north here, and this is actually a cracking road. I have to drive this road quite regularly, so I have screwed the suspension down now, just to sort of take around these bends. I think it's a useful piece of kit. Someone went through there a while ago. There's a horrible corner that's really adversely cambered. Some cracking views around here. So there's a YouTube channel which reviews this, one of the reviews of this car. I quite like his videos actually. JayEmm, I think that's how it's pronounced. But he seemed to have a problem with this car. He seemed to think there was a sort of delay. Now maybe I'm just not as finely tuned or as sensitive as, you know, someone who is effectively a professional motoring journalist. Personally, I can't find that. I mean, I find it, maybe there is a slight delay, but I can't, I can't, I don't find it a problem. Yeah, and maybe that's just me. I mean, I'm fairly picky, as you know from the previous part of the video. But to me it seems, a lunatic, this car. I mean, it seems to have very little delay. But if I just go for, maybe there's a slight, but I don't really find it. I think they've done a pretty good job of and as I say, maybe if I was test driving loads and loads of cars all day long, I'd be more critical about it. Okay, so we're going to try taking it up here a bit. Now, I've not taken this car off-road before. This is an estate road that we've got up here in the Highlands. This is a small estate we run. I say run, there's not much running really. It's a very old and crofting estate. And this is the main sort of road up onto it. So I think what I need to do is select something on this here. There is an off-road setting, there we go. It's raising the car up. Don't know how much it's raising up. Stabilisation control is off, it says. So there we go. We'll just get out and have a look. It's a fairly rough road, this. Normally come up here in a Volkswagen Amarok, and that's no sweat. Definitely feel stuff scraping at the bottom. Don't really want to do any damage to the underside of this car. Seems to be doing it. I mean, I think you could, if you need to go off-road a bit, nothing too serious, this is all right, but I don't think you can treat it as a proper off-roader. You've got to be realistic. No, this is no sweat. This seems fine, and it doesn't look that challenging on the camera. There's a fair few. It's not in the best of conditions, this track at all. It's a really cracking landscape up here. So admittedly this isn't, you know, by any stretch hardcore off-roading, but this track I know it quite well. I definitely wouldn't bring a normal car up here. So that gives an idea of the sort of ability of this Q7. You definitely need something. If you brought a normal car up here, you would definitely do damage to it, to the underside of it, and you might even get it stuck. You probably would get it stuck actually. You know, so you definitely, the roadway is not good enough for a normal. You need something a bit more. You do need something a bit more. So things like this, it doesn't probably look that bad on the video, but it's you know, there's some fair old undulations, and the centre is quite raised. Like here, for example, you probably are scraping the ground a bit. Actually, one thing I would say, the more I'm driving along this track, it's not bad. I mean, this, you know, if you've got to traverse very rough land periodically, then this, you know, you'd be fine. I notice it's got this sort of hill descent kicking in whenever we're going, like it's kicking in now. Okay, we get some idea of the sort of axle articulation here. I mean, it's not the best, but as I say, it's, you know, it's usable if you need to go on. In fact, we've actually, this wheel's off the ground here. You can see there. But I mean, it is a fair old rut we're in here. So it just gives an idea. It is a really good car. It is a really nice car. I know I've complained about those issues, and you know, I don't like the dashboard, and I'd much rather have a more traditional dashboard. I think it's a silly design, but I'm prepared to forgive it those areas, because it is just a really useful tool. Is the way I would describe it. If you're doing a lot of mileage, comfort, power, economy. And as I say, I don't think we're going to see an engine like that again. I might be wrong, but I kind of wonder whether it's gone now. A big fat diesel. Thanks for watching.